ago how universal music is, right? So Bashira brings to us Nigeria, and she brings to us America, where it has intersected, and we're all here in this country representing different cultures and places, and a song whose language we may not know, even though it's been translated to us. Not all of those words we know, right? But how many of you felt all of the words?
Yes.
You know? So we thank Bashira, who has brought forth the Word of God in sound, in music, in articulation, has allowed herself to be a vessel today. And that's the same intention that I have before you today, is to become a vessel. So I'm setting myself and I'm making myself available in this moment to be with you in a way that we've never been together before. We've all traveled many journeys since we came together last time. Some of us are here together for the very first time. It's so good to have everybody here. And there's a lot going on in the world. Anybody notice? And so very much what the word that I have today is will help us all move through what's going in the world better. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Would you like something that will make it a little easier to go through the world?
Yes.
Oh, just you guys, right? Anybody want to find their way through the world better than ever before?
Yes.
All right. So here's the thing, though. We're going to do some heavy lifting today. And so I'm going to ask you to do that with me. So, of course, I can't make you do anything. Despite what some people might do, there is no more enslavement. I will not force you, and I will not build a wall against you. I am here to invite you to come forward. So will you do some heavy lifting with me today?
Yes.
All right, we'll get to that in a minute. Give you a little time to get ready. So our topic that I'm speaking to today is ascension. Being of earthly good. So there's a lot of things that go on in our teachings, right? So the teaching that we speak from, when I speak of teaching, it's New Thought, Ancient Wisdom. So it is a trans-denominational teaching. We look at all of the spiritual paths with the recognition that the wise elder in an African country, a wise elder in a South American country, a wise elder in Russia, a wise elder on an island that made themselves available to something greater than themselves, all caught it. They all caught the same thing. Well, just like each person caught the same thing, they didn't catch the same language. They didn't catch the same art, because those are just expressions of it. Do you see that? That language was existing all over the earth. We know, as a former history teacher, we can talk about the Hammurabi Code, we can talk about the Phoenicians, we can talk about the ancient groups who did it first, but these two groups who maybe did it first, second, and third did not necessarily intersect with each other. The evolution of humanity was happening actively everywhere. They were coming into a greater understanding. Generation after generation was living. They were opening up themselves. They were seeing things. And they were dealing with the conditions of the world around them. One of the teachers that I've studied over the years taught about how interesting it is that in the very abundant, plentiful communities and cultures, that there was a vision of an abundant God. This God was ever giving, ever providing. But then there were cultures that were more harsh conditions, where it was colder and they had to work the land harder, but they still recognized something greater than themselves. And what they embodied was a misguided notion of harshness that they applied to this same creature, this same presence, this same force, right? That was bringing things to them. And that's how we live this life sometimes, right? Sometimes when we're going through life, this journey that we call life, and things seem abundant, things seem joyous, we have a lightness about ourselves. We're in the flow of it. We ride the current. We rise up with it. We go down with it, but we never feel like we're drowning because it seems to have a flow and it's natural to us. But then there's circumstances and situations where it's more difficult, it's more challenging. It pushes up against our belief systems. It pushes up against what we know or the idea that we have about life. Suddenly a different perspective and a different slant about things happening to us can emerge. It can happen that way. And so what we're talking about in this idea of God in spirit and universal law and spiritual principles is that it's always present. It's happening everywhere. It's accessible to all of us. That it may have a different language or a different articulation. That it may have a different tone. It may have different drums. It may have different instruments through which it utilizes and expresses. But it is for all of us. Anybody interested in that presence?
Yes.
Make yourself known to me today. So some of you guys know how I get down. I'm a little rowdy, I'm a little silly, but I also know that I do this with you. We do this thing together. So everybody, just for a second, just put your feet, look down, make a little space. And we have a different floor. We've got carpet, so don't sprain your ankle. And let me hear you stomp your feet a little bit. And let me hear you clap your hands a little bit. All right? Now let me see if you can do both at the same time. If I'm asking you a question, come with me. I mean, I'm going to go regardless. But come with me, okay? So when we start talking about this presence, now here's where we start talking about the heavy lifting. How many of you have found yourself feeling a little spout, I'll give you, or a bout, maybe, or an experience of anger different than is your normal day-to-day? Alright? How many of you have felt despondency, melancholy, frustrated, or powerless? Anybody? How many of you have questioned God and the world and the unfoldment, or what I know and what I understand? Anybody had any questions lately? So we're going to do something a little different. Just for a moment right now, I just want you to close your eyes. We're going to do a short little process. And so when you close your eyes right now, what I'm asking you to do is bring it all up. And so this is what can be the hard part. I want you to bring up the concerns that you have about our education system and children and what you're reading in the news. I want you to bring up in this moment the things that you see that may be coming against people you care about. I want you to just let all of the feeling tone rise, that you are in a safe space right now. You are in a place where the greatest fears that you have for your children, for your parents, for your loved ones, for your community, that you can allow them to come forward. And almost see them like a train passing by, car after car, concern after concern. It could be the government, it could be Syria, it could be North Korea, it could be something around LGBT rights, it could be something around immigration, it could be something around nuclear war, it could be something around hate, it could be something around poverty. Just allow it to rise up for a moment. It's not comfortable, but be uncomfortable with me for a moment. And now I don't want you to just see it as an idea. I want you to see the faces of the people that come up for you when you think of any of these things. See the children, see our elders, see our neighbors, see our lovers, see our husbands and our wives, see our partners. And I want you to pivot with me right now, just right where you are. I want you to pivot, and I want you to find the place within you that knows all is well. Just pivot. Don't move away from those people. I want you to pivot into wellness. There's a space within you that knows peace, that knows sanctuary, that knows love, at the same time that it sees and witnesses hate and anger. At the same time, it is love. And I just want you to allow the greatest love you've ever known to rise up in you. Take a deep breath. And as you let it out, it's like a rocket booster taking you higher into love. Doesn't that make you want to take another deep breath? Take another deep breath. And as you exhale it, you rise higher in love. Do it one more time for me. Take a deep breath. Picture everyone. See those locomotive trains passing in your awareness. And rise higher in love as you exhale. Open your eyes. So I thank you for doing that, because that is what we are called to do. So what I believe that we did in that moment was we shifted energy. That we shifted energy not simply in our lives or even in this room. I feel absolutely that we shifted energy on the planet. That there are people that were dealing with all of those things that you connected to in this moment, and that we lifted them where they are. You know that time or that moment that we've all had in our lives where we don't know what that feeling was. We don't know where we found the courage. We don't know how that perfect person stood in the line and reminded me how beautiful and I am and how worthy I am, how important it is for me to be recognized. But they decided to recognize me, and they will never know what it was like in that moment to be able to go from where I was before I talked to them to where I was after. Am I alone with that, or have you had that experience before? That's what we just did. Because we're all connected. We're all connected. We are all connected all of the time. And what I'm talking about today is ascension, right? So ascension, how to be of earth, or to be of earthly good, being of earthly good. And so in the Christian teaching, the ascension is that time after Jesus rose from the dead, had visited his disciples, but then he ascended into heaven. So a lot of people in these teachings, a lot of people come to New Thought, Ancient Wisdom to escape the world. They've got it completely wrong. You do not come to this teaching to escape the world. So you may have signed up for the wrong class. You may have entered into the wrong room. How could this be the wrong room? But let me tell you, that's just a misguided idea that we have. It is completely understandable to want to escape pain. It is completely understandable to want to escape despondency or any of the things that you brought forward, right? We understand, and sometimes we don't have the compassion activated in us, and so sometimes somebody's going through something and we don't know how to be compassionate with them because we don't know what they're going through. We don't know why they're freaking out. Even the flight attendants should be given a little room because they don't always have the best days, right? But right now they might not get as much leeway as they used to get. But there is a space within us where we can access compassion. And that awareness of what actually happened in the teaching of the ascension is what we're bringing forth today. You see, Jesus did not ascend just so that he could get out of here. He was like, oh, they crucified me. They don't even believe me when I come back from the grave. I'm out of here. That doesn't make sense. I mean, you could loosely translate it that way. I mean, couldn't you? Guy leaves after he comes back from the dead. I think he might have gave up on us. He just quit. No, there was something more happening. You come to this teaching so that you can expand your capacity to bring heaven to earth. So there's a saying in some teachings that people get so heavenly minded. They're so focused on getting to heaven. They're so focused on the idea of heaven. They're so focused on a heavenly world even. In the scripture, it talks about the kingdom of heaven is at hand. They tried to tell us that it was here now on the earth, but we missed it, or we looked at it differently, and we made that right when we should have made that left. And then we kept going, like, there's a group of people that don't seem to take directions well, I hear. So we just kept on going, right? So this idea of spiritual practice, coming into an understanding of God. Everybody must examine their idea of God, of spirit. You must take it on. You must take it on in some way, your own way. It could be as a member of Soul Center. It could be as a member of Agape. It could be a member of a temple. It could be as a member of a mosque. It could be as a member of any spiritual community. And I always say, if the community recognizes absolute oneness, that there's no separation between us, and it recognizes unconditional love, I can get down with them. And without question, because I know that the teachings are going to be in harmony at some point. Now, where the story goes and how they tell it and how they interpret it, I can slide all that to the side like an old typewriter, bring it back over, and I'll start at the next line. Because we can get down together. Now, look, the full saying is, some people are so heavenly minded, they're no earthly good. I know people who swear off the news, and I understand. But what I cannot do as a person is shut off the world. I cannot not know what's happening with my brothers and sisters in the Sudan, my brothers and sisters in Syria, my brothers and sisters anywhere in the world. I can't do that because that's shutting off a part of me. I'm not going to shut off my pinky. I'm not going to shut off my lower right leg. I'm not going to shut off my left ventricle. I hear that's not a very good idea. And I'm not going to do that when it comes to humanity. Because as we know, whether we look at global warming, as we look at the rising sea levels, as we look at the tides, as we just smell the air and breathe the air in California, what we do, whether we're 10 miles apart, 10 feet apart, 10,000 miles apart, affects each other. Even if it's not an immediate effect, it may affect generations to come. So I'm bringing everybody in. We're inviting all of those faces and all of those people into this space, and we're going to do our prayer. We're going to do our meditation. We're going to do our spiritual study, pick a spiritual book, find a spiritual author. That's what you're being called to do. Because you all felt into a field of feelings that were not necessarily comfortable, and somehow you made it out of it. You didn't fall down. You may have shed some tears. You felt something, and you shifted something within you. This is what our practice is. This is what our calling is. So this is what the invitation is for you. You want to rise up to your greatest yet to be. You want to grow in your ability to meditate. You want to grow in your ability to meditate in the light and in the dark. You want to be able to meditate on a noisy plane or in silence. You see, it's easy to do it when there is nothing resisting you, right? So it's much easier to meditate when there's quiet, when maybe there's some birds singing. It's so great. God sent the raven to sing to me this morning. And it's such a great meditation. But one teacher says your greatest meditation sitting is your most difficult one. The one that you can't sit through. The one that you feel like your skin is crawling. You keep opening your eyes to see what bug is on you, and just the breeze caught the small hair on your hand. You are called to be in a practice that expands you, that grows you, and not necessarily grows you in heaviness and makes you more worried or makes you more dense. No, that grows you and expands you in such a way that you are lighter, that you are allowing more light to resonate through you, because you are, as Jesus spoke, the way, the truth, and the light. You are that. When you step on the path you will know the way. Because wherever you go is your righteous path. There's no place that you are not called to go that you are not actually at. Wherever you are is your divine right appointment. Yes, behind the woman in the check stand that's writing out a check in 2017 and also has a couple of too many items that she wants to spend. So now she's got to figure out what she's going to send back. And you're just going to flap your flaps. You're just going to sit there. And the grace of God and the compassion that you need for today is going to come forth. There are all these videos that we see now, right, of people in difficult situations being berated. And most of our response is, oh, I'm glad that wasn't me. I would have. Or the God in you has expanded in such a way that person is reflecting back to you what is possible for you. I hear all the time people tell stories about watching someone. For example, there was a football player several years ago that was driving and he was drinking and he got into a car accident and he killed another football player, friend of his, that was in the car. Now, of course, the mother just happened to know him, but the mother completely forgave him. The mother of the deceased football player forgave the driver who was drunk and held no ill will and committed, because he had to go to prison, to visiting him regularly in prison because her heart was open and she refused to let she had a son, she refused to let another man be abandoned, to be left to assist him because of a choice that he made. We accept the choices that we make regardless of their outcome, and we have the opportunity in them, in the experiences, in the difficulties, in everything that's going on. What's going on with Beth right now is our opportunity. The woman has held down the children's ministry at Soul Center. She brings her joy, she brings her light, and she brings her love, and we can feel her absence. And yet, God is calling us to provide for our children today and now, not when Beth is done. You know, not when Beth comes back. Because Beth's coming back, she's coming back stronger, she's coming back better, she's coming back renewed, reinvigorated. Is anybody in agreement with that? And Soul Center, the seeds that he has planted in Soul Center will grow. Because we will continue to monitor her field. We will continue to water and to nurture it. And we will continue to allow our light to shine on it. Anybody in agreement with that?
Yes.
This week, you give yourself 5 minutes. This is 5 minutes every day to do the exact same process we did. You can do it yourself, or you can go to the Soul Center website where they'll post this video. I'm looking at you right now. And when you scroll through the video, find the part where I said we're going to do some heavy lifting, press play. So now you really don't have an excuse. So you can do it yourself, or you can come to the video, because Patricia and the team will get it up on YouTube and we'll be doing it. And this world will get better second by second, minute by minute, because people who feel like they're going through it alone, the single mothers, the children without parents, I think about things like that all the time when we hear about people whose parents died young or made their transition early. And then I look up and I look at some of the friends that I had, and I didn't realize that their parents or someone had made their transition so young, and they're amazing people. But there's this idea in the world that we suddenly slap onto somebody because they didn't have a parent, which is completely ignorant, which has absolutely no place in reality. So we're going to do this practice, and a person without a mother, without a father, without a husband, without a wife, a person without money, a person without a home, a person in any condition and situation, with any diagnosis, with anything, will feel the lifting and the resonance of what the work that Soul Center will do this week. Anybody in agreement?
Yeah.
Do that for 5 minutes. There is, and I guarantee you, and when it happens, you let Patricia know, something that you're not prepared for, that you weren't looking for, that you were not planning on, that's coming your way.
Right. Yeah.
That's the law. So the law is whatever you sow, you shall reap, right? Give and it shall be given unto you. So you're going to give in this way, and then when you hear or you experience something that is very much like the oath of manifestation, unexpected, exceeding abundantly above all that it can ask or think, when you experience that, you're going to shoot a message to Patricia,